Welcome back to the Stuff or Whatever podcast. Your host, B. Quanchi here. Before we get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. Whether that's here on YouTube, follow on Twitter to catch updates and fun tweets, and also follow on Twitch where I live stream gaming. Those gaming streams also are uploaded to the YouTube channel as VOD, so check that out. There's links in the descriptions and about whatever the channel is. Be Quanchi across the boards. All that. So we have a very special podcast today. I guess to start the podcast, maybe this is kind of like a funny anecdotal kind of like storytelling, but just how I started my week. So when I drive to work, it's like a 25-minute drive, and it's all that. I don't want to get into all the specific details of like what I do for a living and all that. But I remember before going to work in the morning, like eating breakfast, doing my morning routine, having my coffee. I usually like to leave a little early, just to give me plenty of time to get to work, clock in on time, all that. Not that I'm a huge stickler, but I like to be early just in case stuff happens or if there's some issues with, because you take the highway to work, like two of them, like it's like I said, it's like a 25-minute drive, but like one this way, then it turns to the exit to the other direction to go to work. So before I start to leave, my tummy starts rumbling and stuff like that. Like, should I go to the bathroom and take a shit or something like that? Like, I think I'm good. Like, add a little gas and like a little a little tutti frutti. But like, no, okay, I'm good. Like, okay, so on my way to work and driving down, and then I'm going down like the one highway before I get to the other freeway or highway. I forget what the difference is between highways and freeways. But then my stomach really starts to like bother me. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to take a shit. Like, good thing I'm getting to work early, so I have plenty of time to do that before I clock in or whatever. Like, it's uncomfortable, but I can make it. And then highway construction and like, now I have to get off the highway and stuff like that. So I'm like getting off the highway, like, okay, at least I know I can take this main road and get to where I need to go. But then as I'm driving along, I'm like I can make it. It's not too bad. But then my stomach starts to hurt more and more. I'm like, ugh, I just. It's like one of the things like, hey, maybe I can take this street back to the freeway. Like maybe it's past the construction because sometimes they have like clear detour signs, and sometimes like, okay, I know where to go. And then other times like, nope. You know, you can guess and see if you can get back on the freeway. Just be like, nope, not yet, and turn back around and go waste more time. It's like, do I chance it? No, no, no. I'll just take the street all the way down to the cross section I need to go, and then turn that way. But it's like really pushing it, and my stomach's like, ugh. Yeah, it's like one of those things. Like, I leave for work early. Like, again, not to get too much into details, but 7 a.m. is when I'm supposed to clock in. So there's not too many places. Like sometimes you get time to like go into gas station. Like, and I always feel like that's a bother too. Like to go to a gas station. Like sometimes it's customers only or employees only and stuff like that. So I didn't even bother. Like I'll just push it and go forward and all that. Versus like bugging a gas station and stuff like that, or even wasting more time. Like, no, I'll just make it up to push it. So I'm like, ugh, getting the sweats and all that. And luckily, I get to work, and it's kind of it's a pretty big company. I don't want to get again too much of the nitty gritty of details, but the parking lot's pretty good. But because of the delay of the detour and construction work, I got there still before I have to clock in, but a little bit later, so I'm kind of like finding my parking spot. And I'm walking through, like, as I'm getting out of my car and like walking towards the building, like now I'm starting to feel like when you do the funny walk, like I got a shit fart, I had a shit walk, and like and so far so good. So I get into the building, and I start to beeline for the closest bathroom because I work there for quite some time, so you kind of like know locations of the bathroom, like all the important stuff you need to know about work. And like, okay, I'll be like to this closest bathroom, and of course that bathroom is closed because the janitorial, whatever cleaning staff, is cleaning it. And like, fuck. But it's like near the break room, and like on the other side of the break room, there's another bathrooms and stuff like that. So like, okay, I can make it. I just have to go through the break room, get to a stall, and I should be good. And Luckily, I did. Like, I feel like as soon as my ass hit the seat, bam, nature was flowing and all that. Not to get too gross with the details, but like, oh my god, like, because I was feeling the pains too, like the stomach pains of needing to take a shit. But I thought it would be fun. Like, good thing it wasn't like raining, and we don't get snow and ice here because I can just imagine like string theory, like alternate universe is like things happening, but it's like snowing, and then I'm trying to run to the building, I slip on ice, injure my back, and then violently shit myself. Like, there's a possibility that could have happened, but no, not that bad. It's funny because you don't want to think about shitting your pants too often. Like, as a baby, that's given to the territory, like being in diapers until you potty train. And then, like, nope, I can use the bathroom, so I don't have to worry about, like, pissing or shitting myself until maybe you get to that very, very old age where you have to wear adult diapers or anything like that. But nope, you have to worry about shitting yourself. It's a life ordeal, like, lifelong ordeal. Like, you have to worry, you have to, like, constantly worry about shitting yourself. Well, but this is a lot about me, like drinking coffee and like dietary habits too. Like maybe other people don't have to worry about shitting themselves as much. Not that I have. Like, there's been times, like, I'll be honest, I had some of the little Hershey stains or whatever unaware, but for the most are pretty good. But it's like when it's like, oh my god, like if I would to like shit myself before getting to work, I'm like, I'm going home. Like, especially I can use a bit like time off if I need to, even if it's last minute. Maybe it will have some consequences in terms of like, hey, don't do that, but whatever, it's your time to use. But yeah, starting the work week about almost shitting myself. So the other thing is, I start the work week on Sunday instead of Monday because that would have been real Monday, almost shitting your pants. So one thing I wanted to kind of follow up on this podcast because I mentioned it I think it was last week. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I had issues getting cream cheese. And I know that sounds kind of boring and whatever, but it actually turned out to be a little bit more interesting than that because bagels will sit on sale on one grocery store. Like, don't I'll get the bagels here and get cream cheese at the other store. And like, oh, they're like out of cream cheese, like out. And like, what the fuck? Like, why is there no cream cheese and all that? Next day I went back to the other grocery store, like, fuck, they don't have like much cream cheese either. Like, fortunately they had like the blocks of cream cheese, like I think it's more so for baking, but all like the spreadable ones were like out. And like, okay, I'll get this. It's like this is stuff you can do with bagels. Like also like putting butter on a bagel is good too. Even put cinnamon sugar on it and butter. But like, I'm in the mood for a cream cheese bagel, so like I'll just grab this block. It can't be too bad. Which is kind of annoying too. Like, as I'm using it on my bagels, it's like the blocks you get aren't as spreadable. Like, it's really, I don't know, it's like really sticky, or it's really like formed. Like, it's really hard to like really spread it. I'm not sure what the huge difference is, but I like those tubs, like the spreadable, some like the whipped ones, easy to do. So I felt kind of stupid saying this, but like, what, I'll post about it on Facebook because I thought it was like another thing that happened today. And then another Facebook friend posted an article like, yeah, this has been going on for months, but I guess like some cream cheese or dairy. I think it's just cream cheese. I've never seen any issue with other cheeses or other dairy products, but for some reason, cream cheese got targeted by like a cyber attack or something like that, which like halted production and still like having issues with that. So it's like, oh my, it's like a cream cheese crisis and shit. Every single thing, and like, as I'm like trying to like get the cream cheese from the block on my bagel, and it's been a pain in the ass. Like, I think those are more so like for like baking or recipes that call for like a block of cream cheese, but it's even funny, like the packaging even has like a bagel on it with a cream cheese spread, but that does not spread as good. But I follow up because I did some grocery shopping today, and there's at least some more cream cheese. Like, I see some like, it's like one of the things like sometimes when I go grocery shop, I go to one store for one thing and one for the other because of ads and stuff like that. But one store, like, they had a little bit of the brand name cream cheese, but at least they had the spreadable, like the little tubs and stuff like that. It's like, oh. And another store, like, they had at least their store brand, and had this little ones, but a lot of it's still sold out. Like a lot of the flavored ones, like, oh, this is onion and chives or whatever. Like it's still like a lot of empty space. Like I'm not sure all the different like varieties of cream cheese spreads and all that, but like pretty much it's just regular cream cheese. Anything else is like shit out of luck. So like wow, that's kind of like interesting and it kind of like a weird like boring way, but still kind of interesting. Like you know, you just see it on Twitter or it's funny. Like I get my news like on Twitter and sometimes Facebook and stuff like that, but did not hear anything about the cream cheese crisis and shortages. But hopefully we'll get back on track. But like, damn, if it would have had the tubs last week, I would have got that because I'm not sure what the process is, like how they pack them, how they process it. But the tubs of the cream cheese is a lot more better, in my opinion, than the blocks of cheese. Because like you have to like cut it and like barely spread and like cut it, and it's kind of annoyance. But oh well, that's what I get for wanting cream cheese with my bagels. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is I got a text from a wrong number, and I think maybe I got a little paranoid about it, but stuff like that. But pretty much the content of the text is like, "Thank you for standing me up earlier. Hope it was worth missing out on this." Sad face, and it's a face pic of a girl, and it definitely wasn't me because I swing the gay way. I was trying to think of a clever way to say that, but no, not into girls at all. And I don't part of me feel like, hey, you have the wrong number. Like maybe there's some misunderstanding and stuff like that. But I didn't respond. Like I get maybe a little paranoid. Like, hey, maybe this is a fake number, and someone's like want me to respond back so they confirm it. Hey, this is a real person. Let's put them in a database so we can like do marketing or there's annoying soliciting calls or whatever you want to call it. Like, hey, this is a real number. We can bug this person and stuff like that. And the funny thing, like the picture, it seems okay. Like, I could imagine like if they put like a hot girl like in a bikini saying, "Hell, you missed out on all this" and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like I don't know. I'm not too good at judging like genders I'm not attracted to, but it's like I guess she's fine. Like, whatever. But and it's like even the area code for it, I even looked it up. It's like from Kansas and stuff like that. And I'm in Arizona, but I don't know. Maybe it could be honestly like a girl got set up, and maybe she gave a number to a guy, and maybe he got his number, and oh, it could be another girl. Who knows? I don't know what the orientation of this person is, but they could have been like one digit off, and oops, big misunderstanding. I could like text him like, oh, that you got the wrong number, whatever. Or, the other person could have given them a completely wrong number on purpose. All that, but the things I get, like, paranoid about it, too, is, like I said, like, if someone's, like, trying to confirm my number, like, okay, we can try to get them with, scams or deals and stuff like that, or whatever. But I also find it kind of suspicious, because usually if I get, like, a number, I kind of, like, test out right away, like, most, unless they got it, like, from a third party or whatever, or who knows. But usually I get a number, like, if I meet someone at a bar or whatever, like, I just, like, call them and, like, oh, I can save it easily. So usually I kind of test my number out. And if I'm not sure, what the deal is with this date. Since I assume with, like, standing me up, it means that there was supposed to be a planned date. Like, I'm not sure if they're supposed to meet in public or get picked up and stuff like that. But usually I kind of say to text, like, okay, I'm here, if it's, like, a meeting place, or can't wait to see you, or hey, are you running late? Is something going on, or whatever. I mean, no prior texts. But then I get even more paranoid and more suspicious. Like, what if there were previous texts to make it seem like, oh, this is a real person? And stuff like that. And it also could be like a catfish thing, too. Like, what if this person trying to catfish people and stuff like that? Using this picture of this girl. Well, I assume it's adult. Like, she has a nose piercing and all that. But I kind of just wonder if that really happens. Like, if people just, like, try to like send text like, oh, you stood me up, and then like, oh, that's not me, but hey girl, what do you like, and stuff like that, or what are you doing? So maybe it could honestly be a chick that got a wrong number, or maybe saved the number wrong, and they just like kind of feel like, oh, it could have been nice thing like to clear it up, but like, nope, do not engage, do not respond, because again, sometimes I get worried like, hey, if my number's going to be put in a database, and I'm going to be bugged with a bunch of calls and telemarketers and stuff like that. And like, nope. And again, I'm not sure if anyone can validate me or counter argument me, but like, yep, wrong number. I was always tempted, but again, in one of those previous like texts, like, "Hey, where are you?" or "Hey, whatever." I find that weird. Like the only texts texted to my number were the ones about being pissed off about being stood up. But yep, that's something. Probably the most active I got on my texting in a while. And speaking of messages, this might be an interesting story as well. It happened the other day. For the sake of like, I don't use Grinder, but I use apps kind of like Grinder, so I'm just gonna say Grinder just because it's kind of like more widely known. We know there's apps, or maybe it's like Tinder or whatever. I'm not sure if Tinder has like a gay option or well, but we'll just say, or it's Grinder. And then wake up because what I've been getting a habit of doing is have my cell phone in my living room charging. Like I don't have my cell phone in bed, and even I've been putting it on silent and stuff like that, so I haven't get like notifications or phone calls and stuff like that. But I woke up and saw that I got like about 9 messages from a guy, and to give him some leeway to like the messages like a little bit before midnight. But I feel like there's some of those apps, like even if you close the app or haven't logged in quite some time, they kind of show you on the grid as still being active or just on the grid and away or whatever. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if Tinder does that, but it's kind of like seeing people nearby. That's an important detail. Like it shows like guys nearby. Clicking the profile, and usually they show a distance. Like I think for safety reasons, they don't say like, oh, they're like 6 feet in front of you and stuff like that. Like they give you some leeway, and it's like so close they're gonna say. So you can't really use it to like dock somebody or like find somebody. I get all these messages and stuff like that. I'm sure they were like all sent in a row and stuff like that, since it was like 6 hours before I even looked at my phone since getting them. But it's a screenshot of like some guy's profile, and it looks like snippets of like police reports, which I've never seen a police report as well. But the guy was saying like, "Hey, be careful of this guy. He's a user. Blame me for his drug use." Even said like, I guess the guy got his like career and home taken away. Like he got fucked over. If this is true, like I assume this is possibly true. And they even said like he pushed him into a mirror because he wouldn't buy him cigarettes and stuff like that. It's like kind of like be careful where who you bring home and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a warning. Like the guy didn't like really communicate with me other than that, like trying to meet me or knowing. Because the funny thing is, I actually blocked this guy, like the profile pic. I blocked this guy just because I get a habit like with these apps. It's like so many squares you get in a grid. Like you can pay for the premium and get more. But it's like, hey, sometimes I like block profiles if I'm like totally not in the guy or stuff like that. Like they free up that little grid space. So I blocked him a while ago. Never interacted with this guy at all. I guess in the police report stuff, like I said, it says like drug use and stuff like that. But I guess like meth was a big part of it, like those kind of drugs, like possibly a meth head. Even said like a picture, I think it might be of himself. I can't tell because his profile pic cuts off his head. I think maybe that's a cropping for the thumbnail. Like, and if I this is kind of weird thing. Like, I don't like to click on profiles. Like I try to avoid that from generally not wanting them to like look at their profile, and so I'm like want to look at their profile, so I didn't like feel the desire to. But I guess he got like a bad cut on his neck that had some staples in and all that. I'm kind of interesting because I never seen police reports too, because I've seen that. But I guess this guy was a meth head and stuff like that. But I also thought it was kind of weird getting all these like texts and messages and pictures of police reports. Like, look at the guy. Like, you could have just said like, "Hey, this guy's a meth addict." Like, look at the profile. Yep, I'll believe that. Like, I don't need too much convincing. Like, he's not Phoenix Wright. I'm not a judge. He doesn't have to present me with like bunch of evidence. Like, you can just say, "Hey, watch out for this guy. He's like a user, a meth head or a drug user." With his profile too, like that's one thing I don't get with some of these apps too. Like with your profile picture, you're trying to, attract somebody, or whether it be friends, most likely sexual romantic partners. It was like this guy's picture, like, Like he seems kind of like also kind of like that drug skinny, just from what I can tell from the picture, like the meth addict skinny. But like, no, like I guess pictures like with people like actually smiling, like, hey, you realize you're uploading pictures that other people can see. Like, are you really uploading the best picture that represents yourself? So maybe that's the thing with drug users too. Like they just don't care and they put a picture. Maybe they show like more of the body. Like, hey, I'm thin of attractive, or in that kind of sense. Like maybe there's like more to it, but it's like no, like I wouldn't even touch this guy with a 10-foot pole with the just looking at his profile pic. Again, like I said, not like the grossest person, but I was like, no, I'm totally not interested. Like I blocked him a long time ago. I think this guy probably knows because, like I said, like on the app, like it shows grades of guys nearby, so he probably saw like my profile close to his. So he's like, "Hey, these two guys in the area." So maybe he messaged other people around the area, which I guess is kind of a cool thing too. Like, hey, if he can want somebody avoid like a big user, something is possibly dangerous, where he can get like police charges and all that. Like I said, the guy said like he had issues like losing his house, and it affected his job as well. Because the police report said other names too. Like the person who sent me the message didn't quite say his name because he just has one of these usernames that you don't know the person's name. But yeah, kind of crazy thing to wake up to all that. But you never know. Be careful who you uh, interact and bring home. I think over the years I've been more cautious or more like, hey, I can smell bullshit. I can see red flags, and I'm not putting up with that. So that was kind of an interesting story. Okay. Now, last thing I want to kind of talk about on this podcast is the newest Pokemon announcement for the Gen 9 next series of games, Scarlet and Violet. It's funny, like I was always thinking about doing like a little blurb, like a mini cast or something, talk about what I want from Pokemon and stuff like that. And then they dropped the new game. Like, oh, I'll just squeeze it into like a regular podcast too. So they announced it near the end of February. Was it 27th, stuff like that? But I think a lot of people were surprised because it hasn't been too long that they dropped the remakes for Diamond and Pearl, and of course Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm pretty sure Cadbury McKee is part of it, but yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus. But getting excited, like they haven't announced too much in terms of this dropping the trailer. We did get to see the three starters. They do like the fire one, the crocodile one. The name escapes me. And the starters are fun too. What I really hope they do, because I was kind of disappointed in the last gen that the starters didn't get a second type as they evolved. I thought Gen 7 had some pretty cool ones, like grass becomes grass. I think it became grass flying and grass ghost, and fire became fire dark, and water became water fairy. And then the past, like I really like the starters that actually gain a second type, like Charizard gaining flying, or I think Marshtarp is the name. I know Mudkip's the first form, but Mudkip getting the ground type, like water ground, or Turtwig becoming Torterra with the grass ground. Like I like this unique dual typings too, so I hope that happens in the newest game. It's coming by the end of the year. I think they're planning for a fourth quarter release. Not sure. I'm trying to think, but I don't think they had announced specific details of when to expect it. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a holiday release. And people also getting excited because they see like some of the graphics look better. Like I don't know, like I said in the past, like the graphics, like it's fine, it's fine. Like it could be better, it could be worse, but it looks. Oh, it'd be nice to see better because I know how much money Pokemon brings. They could actually go bigger. All that, even having more times with Pokemon Legends, like I can see, especially with the environments, like the character models and stuff like that. I think it looked fine, but I think with environments, I even saw this on Twitter. Like someone like redid a screenshot with like the snow area in Pokemon Legends and like redid the backgrounds. Like it can look a whole lot better. Like all that. So I'm starting to swing that way too. Like versus like yeah, I wish it was, but like yeah, I'm starting to think that yeah, it should be better. Yeah, I think with Pokemon Legends, like especially like kind of flying around, going through the map area, it doesn't feel often like a knockoff Breath of the Wild. So I can see that. People also I think like post about like how Magnemite looks all metal and shiny, and Viper you can see the scales and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see a big step up in graphics, especially on Switch, because I think a lot of people complain like Sword and Shield almost look like a 3DS game. I think it looks a little better. I think that's a little harsh, but we'll see. And I guess it's going to be open world, more seamless, and less like little or no loading screens. Like I had to double check that. I guess it said on the official site. So I'm not sure how close it's going to be gameplay wise to Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like sure if it's going to be like running around, like doing the dash or the jump thing, the dive roll, and catching Pokemon without battling. So I'm not sure if they use Pokemon Legends to kind of like test a couple things, what they might use for the main series. I think it's gonna stay true to the series. Like I don't know, like because from what I've seen in the trailer, kind of reminds me of like the open wild area and Sword and Shield. So I think it's still gonna be like that. But I do hope like they, bring a lot of trainer battles in the gyms and stuff like that too. Because I feel like the battling with legends were very like quick, which is a good thing too. But it was very like lots of one hit kills. Like hey, hit them with a weakness to knock them out, stuff like that. So I feel like they balance the mechanics, the battling, whatever, to be more like shorter battles and stuff like that, like in and out. So I don't know. I kind of wish I would go stay true to the main series and still have more interesting battles and stuff like that, like more trainers and more like engagement. But they did show in the trailer one of the Hisaway, or I'm not sure if I'm mispronouncing the region in Pokemon Legends, but Zoroark. So you probably see like those older Pokemon too that they introduced in Pokemon Legends, because that was kind of like more like a prequel in a sense in terms of the time it took. The time, but the timeline or a place, time period. That's what I'm thinking. Time period it took. So we'll see. I also want to talk about like what I would like to see in Pokemon games. Like I was gonna say, I really wish it would do away with the two versions, and I'm not sure if that's ever gonna go away or not. But I just feel like it's very archaic. Like it made sense when there were like Game Boy games or portable games. They were of course like cheaper too, but then people kind of trade this Pokemon. So I'm not sure if they're gonna like be really stuck with like, hey, gonna get these game Pokemon in these versions and this and that. I know Sword and Shield. I'm trying to think of it as like as bad, but I feel like you can do Dynamax dungeons and online and like, hey, you can if you're looking for this Pokemon, you can find it. If even though it's maybe more predominantly available in this version and that version, so I feel like for the main Pokemon, you can easily catch them all. But the thing that really bugged me is like the legendaries too. Like with one version, you get one legendary, and the other version, you get one. And it's not like you can trade or get someone to give it to you and stuff like that, because it's a legendary and only one in the game. And that's what I really like about Pokemon Legends is that like, hey, you can pretty much catch all. You can catch all the legendaries. There's only one version of the game, so I think that would have made things better. Of course, in like some of the games too, like you can catch more like legendaries, but like the version specific ones, it kind of it feels archaic. I kind of wish it would do away with that and just have one main game, especially if the game is going to be pretty much the same game, just like slight differences. I wish it would do that with the main series of Pokemon game. And one thing I mentioned in my review of Arceus is that I really like how they introduced like the link cable as an item. And instead of like trade evolving, like, hey, you have to trade to evolve this Pokemon, or hey, you have to have them hold the item and then trade. So I wish they would just do away with that and just make it an item you would just use. That seems more modern, seems more easier, and stuff like that. Especially if you're worried about like, hey, I don't know someone I can reliably trade Pokemon with. Like you worry, like, especially if it's like a shiny too. Like you don't want to like trade a shiny just for someone to run off with it just because you wanted to get it evolved and all that. I like how you can see shiny Pokemon in the field versus like in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you have to like account a Pokemon and wait to see if it's a shiny or not. I think it doesn't take away like seeing the animation stuff like that. Think, oh, that's shiny versus you spot one while like flying around or running around. So I think it doesn't really take away if you see it in the field. So I wish they would do that. And then also like some other quality of life improvement that they made, like in Arceus as well, is like how you can change moves on the fly. Like I think that would be kind of convenient. I feel like also, I don't know, you can split it different ways. Like if you like reassign old moves to your Pokemon on the fly, then that recovers your PP. But then again, in Pokemon like Sword and Shield, you always teach them like a move through TM and stuff like that, or reteach them and stuff like that to kind of replenish the PP. Plus, there's also the items too, as well, like the ethers and stuff like that. So I don't think it makes too much of a difference. But I kind of like have an idea that, like, you can have the pull moves. Like, I almost kind of wish it would move it so there's more moves you can have at a time versus just the four. But I kind of also like the way you can switch on the fly, especially if like you want to switch like elemental moves and stuff like that. That's like my playstyle too, is like having a variety of different type attacks, even if it's like doesn't match your Pokemon type, but just like surprise them with like a thunder attack or electric, whatever you want to call it, or ghost, all different ones. And even with the last one too, like they made a convenient way that each Pokemon Center you can recover your relearn your old moves, but even doing it on the fly. I almost kind of like the way they did it instead of doing like TMs and H. I think they've done HMs away with that for a long time, but I think it's TR and TM in the recent one. But kind of do away with that and just have like a specific person you can go to and learn moves. You have to pay like currency to do so. But yeah, kind of looking forward. There's still a lot more to wait for. I'm sure when E3 comes in June, we'll get more details and all that. Also, like one thing I would like to see, like to see more Pokemon, like an old Pokemon as well, because I know that was a big thing with Dex said, and like Sword and Shield's not gonna have all the Pokemon, because that was like the first version, the generation to not have all the Pokemon available to be in the game. I think as they put Sword and Shield, not Sword and Shield, but Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Legends, there's a lot more Pokemon models. Like, don't see why they can't have all, at least a good chunk of them, even if it means like introducing fewer new Pokemon too. Like, I would, if I had to say, hey, see less new Pokemon, but you get all the old Pokemon too. I should really like Pokemon Home, and it's making it easier to connect even through like Pokemon Go and all that. So I want to see more Pokemon, and we'll wait and see what the game is, because I think people are getting excited because a lot of people really like Pokemon Legends and how that's going to incorporate into the next gen. But we'll just have to wait and see. So that would do it for this podcast. So again, the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. Catch my gaming streams, VODs uploaded, all that. So check out the channel, comment below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.